We're here today with the writer, producer, director of Eraserhead, David Lynch, and Fred Elms, who is the lighting cameraman of the same picture. And where are we right now, David?
We're down in the tanks right now.
In the tanks.
Yeah. You can.
That's one of the locations.
Yeah, we shot an early scene of Henry just walking through here. We had a longer scene rigged up, and if you look down here, you can see what remains of a cat we had down here.
Was this here when you got here?
No, I brought this down here.
Oh.
This I got from a veterinarian. It had just died, and so he let me, work with it, and it wasn't like this. But when we were working with it, it went into the water there, and there's a lot of tar in there, and it got covered with tar and preserved itself. That was 5 years ago that was there.
But that never got into the film.
No, that cat's not in the film. But Henry walks right from over there through here and comes right to here. So in a sense, it's right just below the shot that's in the film is this cat. And then the next shot was this puddle here, real low along, right along here. And that was all that this place was used for. But this is there's a lot of neat areas, in this tanks.
How'd you find this place?
I just was driving by, and you can see the tip tops of it from the road. And it's down in this pit area because if any of these things break, then it wouldn't flood out around the area. So it's well secluded from the road. And before these buildings around here were built, we could shoot without seeing any cars, or you didn't know where you were.
David Lynch has described his film Eraserhead in this manner: a dream of dark and troubling things. And would you like to expound on that a little?
No.
No? All right, I thought I'd read some quotes from some national newspapers and see what David has to say about them. The film itself is the dream, the nightmare.
I'm not sure if I know what that means, but I guess.
Well, he's talking about it being a nightmarish film.
Yeah.
And this
the whole
reviewer
thing has a dreamlike quality to it, for sure. You can't tell a lot of times whether things are real or whether they're not real. So that's a fine statement,
But it's more a dream than a nightmare, I think.
Well, I mean, there's where you get why these things are, why everybody has a little something different to say.
Yeah.
Because it's up to, whoever's writing or whoever's viewing to make up their own mind about what's going on. So it wouldn't do any good for me to say, anymore. Or for Fred to say anymore.
The reactions seem to be that some people love it, some people hate it, some have violent, repulsive reactions. It would be interesting, I think, to everyone, what sort of reaction were you thinking of? Do you want people to have? Or do you want anyone?
Well, see, the thing is, like, when we were making the film, we weren't thinking about an audience. I wasn't really thinking about what it would do. We would sometimes fantasize, and think, but we never really thought that we'd even get it distributed, And I remember when Filmix came around, we thought this was it. It's going to be seen one time, and that's going to be it. And so the reaction, Eraserhead is Eraserhead, and it was meant to be just that way. And however people react to it is fine. And the next film I make, I'd like to think more about an audience and what they're going to be reacting to and like that. But it wasn't that I just went about it haphazardly. Eraserhead was a real definite thing in my head, but I didn't think about how people were going to react to it.
Beats the hell out of me. I got to think about it for a while.
So people want to give you a card? Oh, I thought it was the ultimate suspense thriller. And I kept waiting for something to happen, and it never did.
Very entertaining. Very lively film. Gosh, it was the best thing I've seen all year.
Some inane, bizarre person with a disturbed mind wrote that film, and I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed it very much. My kind of movie.
Eraserhead is a unique motion picture experience. I recommend it to everyone.
I liked it. I've seen it 5 times.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
It was very good acting, but I've seen it 8 times, and that's about enough. This time I interpreted it as a nightmare, this time. I thought there were other meanings, but now I'm not sure, really. I compare it to early Fellini, but I like Fellini better.
The most intense thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I thought it was an intelligently made, compelling nightmare about the repressed sexuality of Henry Spencer. That was his name, right? Henry Spencer. And I liked it.
It's an open feeling film, and it's anything goes. You know, like if somebody sees it and wants to make a political film out of it, you know, they can do that. You know, it's fine with me, because it's not fair for me to say, oh, you didn't get it. You know, because the film is so abstract, but it's not just like throwing together abstract. It's meant to be abstract. It's meant to be that way abstract, you know. So it has a right kind of feeling to me, and it's it's an honest film, but it's very abstract. So it's not fair for me to say that it's a definite, you know, way that has to be interpreted. People interpret it, you know, the way they see it. Like, I think this place is beautiful, you know, and I think that a lot of things that other people think are ugly are beautiful. And if you look at them right, or if you're, you know, like, if they're sort of isolated and put in a different context, they can be seen as shapes and textures, and, you know, and they're beautiful. But if you see them for what they are, like we had this mouse, you know, in the film. It's not in there anymore, but like I put an air hair on it and got the fur off of it, right? And to me, that was really beautiful. And but to other people, they would see this sort of hairless mouse.
That's great. I did want to ask you that you have such a nice wife and just a nice little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering how such a, you know, such a nice normal existence, and you're so strange.
Well, I'm not all that strange, really. And also, everybody beneath a lot of times a calm exterior is, you know, the subconscious, right? And that's where everyone has their little, well, not little, you know, the denizens of the deep and all that. And this film, a lot of people say, is a real sort of subconscious experience. It unearths things that are inside of people. So it's sort of like a dream, the dream theme again too.
Okay. The San Francisco Examiner called it a grotesque comic melange of the vile and the uncanny.
That's a good one too.
That's very good. Would you go along with the comedy? I mean,
oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. Especially the first half of the film is a black comedy, strange comedy. But like I've said before, it's got to be a certain kind of comedy in order to make the switch into a sort of fear. So a lot of kind of comedies, once you begin to feel too safe, then it's real hard to switch over. But this was a strange comedy, and it can easily slide into sort of a fearful situation, you know, whereas just before it was funny.
The comedy, it reminds me that the scene when Henry first goes in to his apartment complex and goes into the elevator, and the elevator doors take forever. And I can't figure out why, but I always end up laughing. Is that intended?
Yeah, it's intended to be funny.
Comic timing. the St. Louis Globe-Democrat, which is a pretty weird paper in its own, said that Eraserhead depicts a relentlessly grim netherworld in which dreams and reality are interchangeable.
Right.
Right.
And this is Netherworld is a real good thing because like Eraserhead doesn't take place in any known city, or it's on the fringes sort of a city, and it's people that live in industrial where like after 5 o'clock, there's nobody around, and these people are of a certain type, like Henry and Mary are all. They've got caught in the past. They live in their own time, and there's not a whole lot happening that is normal. Another world.
Now, the whole Philadelphia thing, one of the reasons I wanted to come here is because somehow in my head this place, Lynch's Park,
Sort of like Philadelphia.
No, it's I don't know. I've never been to Philadelphia, but what I think that you feel it's like. Do you want to talk a little about the Philadelphia?
Well, when we were looking for locations, and we tried to find locations that were like Philadelphia for sure, because this is a sort of a Philadelphia film. And like I said somewhere, that Philadelphia to me is a city that's really filled with fear, and it's sort of a decaying, violent, fearful place. And I was living there, and I'm sure that a lot of that influenced Eraserhead, a whole lot. And so this place, it wasn't really. It has that feeling, the right feeling for Eraserhead, and all the other locations we try to find. But downtown LA is also got its own, feeling, and it's a great place. And so our locations that we got down there were not really like Philadelphia, but they had a nice mood to them, and we had to be real careful, shooting. Like a lot of times, right next door to where we were shooting, there was something that just was, absolutely not right. But the things that you see are, have the right feeling, and were tried to, be like Philadelphia, at least in the beginning, but more became, it more or less has a feeling of downtown Los Angeles, really, or another city altogether than Philadelphia.
Did you always intend it to be a black and white film? And
Oh yeah, it's definitely a black and white film story.
And how did you get together with Fred and decide on the type of photography, the type of lighting?
Well, Fred started shooting after we'd been shooting for 9 months.
Oh.
So there was another cameraman that shot for 9 months. Then Fred came in, but Fred had the job of
shooting for the next 4 years.
Fred shot for 2.5 years, and we would for sure talk, a whole lot about them, mostly like mood and stuff, and then they would work out all the, the lighting and things like that.
But it's really David's personal vision, I think. It's, it's the way he wanted to see things, and both Herb, the other cinematographer, and I were just there to translate that, because it was David's idea.
Yeah, but then there's also there's black and white film, everybody says is the hardest to light. Color film is the colors separate themselves, and a lot of times they just light it flat and the way they go. And today it's all speed. So this was like, super time consuming and really hard to light. And they would be lighting and working, and for the longest time you couldn't believe it, and every little thing was just exactly right before we'd shoot. Everything was rehearsed, everything was set up, every little light was just beautiful. And the mood that we had on the set was so incredible. It was like you were in another world all the time. And where we were working at night. It was real quiet around, there was nobody else around, and once things were lit, the mood was not only on film, but it was right there where we were working. It was really incredible, and they really did a number on it. It was really good.
David Lynch said, once you create a world, no matter how strange it is, you have limitations, and you have to stay within them. If you break them, things fall apart. How does that quote relate to Eraserhead?
Well, I'll tell you, Tom, it's, well, I think that what I was talking about is like no matter how weird something is, no matter how strange the world is that you're, making a film about, it's got to be a certain way. Once you see how that is, it can't be another way, or it's not that place anymore. It breaks the mood or the feeling. So you have these limitations, and you have these rules that you have to obey, or else you lose the the true feeling of the thing, and then the audience picks up on this, and that it just everything falls apart.
You said before that the lady in the radiator was not in the original script.
Right.
Where does she come from?
Well, Henry, to me, the lady in the radiator is a sort of a beacon of light, and Henry's world was really dark, without her, and she is represents some hope there for old Henry. And she came along, right in the middle of the shooting. And the weirdest part about it is that, like so many things, it just fell in just so perfectly, because we'd already shot scenes of the radiator and Henry looking at the radiator, and it just, was a natural. And even in the radiator, it was a certain kind of radiator that had a little compartment in there. And most radiators don't have that. I don't know what kind of radiator it was, but there it was, and it was a perfect little place for her, to be.
How did you get your cast? How did John Nance come into the picture?
Well, there was a guy at AFI who had worked with Jack up in San Francisco, and Jack was in the theater for a long time, and so we got together for an interview, and we did some rehearsing. And at first I wasn't absolutely sure, but obviously there's only one Henry, and he's the guy. It came out of the blue. It was like he was heaven sent for sure. The Hollywood, the whole idea of stars and things, I sure wasn't into. I didn't want big names. I wanted people that were obscure, because if you're going into the netherworld, you don't want to go in with Chuck Heston,